Hello, everyone. So good to see you. It's our launch day for our book. And I'm so excited to say that Winning with AI, the 90-Day Blueprint for Success, is officially out in the world today. And I am Charlene Li, and I am joined today by my incredible, wonderful co author, Dr. Katia Walsh. Katia, we did it. We're actually here. We did it.
We did it.
Are you?
It started, what, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, Charlene, and we did it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we're going to have a conversation today between the two of us about the book, how it was created, and I really want to welcome all of you, and please share where you're coming from, and because we love to know who's in the audience, because it is just us here on screen. So let us know where you're coming from, and just a few words about where you are, where your organization is on your AI journey, just to give us a little bit of context. And quite a few of you have mentioned that you're joining. We're excited to welcome you. We have quite a few of the contributors from the book who hopefully will show up too, and we'd love to talk about them too as well. And so, Katia, you want to share a little bit about how we started this conversation up to almost 2.5 years ago now, I think. It was June of 2023. And
Once
I
upon
was
a time
back.
in June of
Yeah, I was
23.
I
Yes.
was I was back in Boston and for my reunions and for school reunions, and I had breakfast with Katya. Uh, and one of the things I shared was I was going to write a book about AI. And Katya, you said something really amazing. What did you say?
I said, I want to write it with you because I've been working with AI long before it was sexy. And those of you who know me from having worked with me, actually some remember that it was back in 2012 that I first surfaced the idea of a book on how to create value with AI. So it really has been a long time coming, but I couldn't do it until I saw you, Charlene, with all your experience and expertise and being a best-selling author. And of course, most of all, a friend.
Yes. And the thing is when Katya said, I want to write this book with you. And I immediately said, of course, this makes all the world of sense because Katya has this deep experience with AI. I'm a complete newbie. I don't know anything about AI. I have such imposter syndrome sometimes because who am I to be an expert on this? And and so it just made a lot of sense that I could take my experience with book writing and disruptive strategies and leadership and have Katya's incredible expertise. And the thing that has made this whole journey the best is that Katya and I are really good friends. We started together at Forrester at the same time. And I couldn't ask for a better person to go on this journey with. So Katya, thank you so much for
Thank
believing in
you. I
this.
can't believe we're here.
Yeah. We have yet to hold the book in our hands because it is being literally printed and sent to ours right now. So I wish I could hold it up, but very soon we'll hold our baby in our hands. So I do want this to be a conversation. We have lots of people. My goodness, look at all the people coming in. We have Eric Mott coming in from Burlingame, Jay Bryant from Rockford, Illinois, Kurt Sorensen from Denmark. Thank you so much, Kurt, for staying up late. And we have Danielle coming from Woodstock, New York, and actively using AI. And Jay Bryant says, we're far along on a journey using it daily with our clients. We have somebody, I'm sorry, I can't see the name, but joining from Midtown, New York and helping clients with their journeys. Andrew Stockwell is joining in from Boston. And Grant,
Andrew was
thank
at
you again, Andrew, for
Forrester.
joining.
Remember?
Andrew. Hey, yes. I didn't
And Sarah
connect the two. Thank
Stockwell
you.
from Harvard Business School. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Bob Halver, good to see you. Again, from Westchester County, constantly trying to elevate AIQ intelligence. And Kenny Riviera from Greensboro, North Carolina, HR leader from a CPA firm and working hard to bring innovation and automation to our HR team. And David Deal, so good to see you, David, here to learn. All right, let's get into the learning part here. So one of the things I would love to do, we're just going to go for another 22 minutes or so. And we're going to pull, if you have any questions along the way, pull them into your comments and we'll pull them in towards the end. So I want to talk about this book, Katia. Why did we write this book?
Well,
You
the
talk about
reason
this
I
all
have
the
been
time.
thinking about writing a book for a while is because I've done this leadership around launching AI capabilities to help businesses and organizations beyond business, like Harvard Business School, drive value with AI for years now, many years, since 2012 at least, officially and formally, and longer before that, even going back to Forrester. Charlene, and on a side note, you're being incredibly humble, which is not surprising to me knowing you, but I do feel like I have to set the record straight. You are not a newbie. You are a leader in emerging technology leadership. You are the luminary in disruptive leadership with emerging technology. Your first book, Groundswell, was an absolute hit because it did exactly that. It helped audiences and marketers learn and understand and practice driving value with social media at the time. Another emerging technology, this is even bigger. So now that I've set the record straight, I'll go back to what motivated me. So I've really enjoyed the building of AI for business value specifically across organizations and industries and sectors and geographies. Usually I've started with nothing. It would be 0 to 1 and 2 and 3, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, it's 50 and 500 people even. But what I have found too, in my experience, and also more recently with the mainstreaming of AI, is that there are several right ways to go about getting value from AI. So not one way, but there are also wrong ways. And it pains me to see when companies and people are going through the mistakes that I know would turn out to be mistakes. And I'd love to save them that, at least the knowing and known mistakes. We will all make new mistakes, and that's good. We want to be doing that. What we don't want to be doing is repeating known mistakes. And at the same time, really applying what we know works. So my mission with that was really to help fellow leaders in businesses, in organizations, mission-driven as well, help them apply AI to get the value that they expect from it and go about it in the way that I know works. More than one way, but proven, tested, sometimes even battle tested with the scars of a transformation warrior. But I just wanted to share that learning, and I wanted to do it with someone like you, not someone. I wanted to do it with you, Charlene, because you know how to speak to this audience. You are a thought leader, and everyone listens to you.
Well, I thank you, Katja. Thank you so much for that. And I so agree with you because the biggest question I think that many people have right now is how do we create real value with AI? How do we go from experimenting to creating value? And that was a really big focus in our book. It wasn't about creating transformation. It wasn't about putting the right technology in place or getting everyone to use AI. All those things can happen, but you may not still be creating value. And the number one question, I think, the way that we structured the book was to answer one question: how do we get started? How do we get started to create value? Which is why it's a 90-day blueprint. It's not that you're going to create all of the changes you want in 90 days. It's a big question that people like. What do you think? 90 days, you're going to get it all done? No, we just want you to get started and moving in the right direction. So that was a big reframe. And I think one of the things that I often see when I walk into an office and I'm talking about what they're using with I see this big long list of use cases. And I love this quote from George Colony from Securian Financial. He said, use cases are not a strategy. They're just not. And one of the things that we so believe is that you don't need an AI strategy. You already have a business strategy. And Katya, you said this over and over and over again to me, that AI is a technology, it's not a strategy, and that it is to be used to serve the business strategy. So really, that just resonated over and over again for me. Um, I want to go a little bit into the actual book and talk a little bit about how we structured it. And it is a blueprint. It is over 90 days, and we divided it into 3 sections. And the first section is really about how to get started. It's getting your a small leadership team in place that is more than just your technology team. It's about getting responsible and ethical AI policies in place so that you can start building trust with the AI. And it's about making sure you have one person that is accountable for driving results, for driving value in AI. And one of the most controversial things that we talked about is that most likely it probably isn't your IT leader, because in many organizations, the IT leader is not the person who is a builder, who is looking at, who is very clearly attached to business strategies and business outcomes. Fantastic in the technology space, but leading and putting AI and think about it only as a technology is really limiting its potential. And I'm curious, Katia, have you any thoughts about this whole getting started section, maybe about the leadership? Because you have seen this firsthand about how companies get started on the wrong foot. So what's the right way to get started? Any thoughts?
We just talked a little bit about use cases are not a strategy. That is true, but AI strategy is not necessary or sufficient for that matter either. What really pains me sometimes is when I see companies very well-meaning, and there's no shortage of those examples, is doing 2 things. One, creating these ideation workshops and starting to ask questions like, what can I do with AI? This is a great technology and it can do so many things. What can I do with it? It's a valid question. But the peril of it is that it literally is looking for something to do with the technology, as opposed to thinking about what is it that keeps me up at night as a business leader? What are my top priorities? What are the big problems that are really hard that I need to solve? Or what are the great opportunities that I wish I could seize? And until recently, I just didn't have the technology or the scale opportunities to do that, but now I do. So that's one thing that I see companies doing that's not in their favor, and it's not helping them create value. Creating a laundry list of ideas, as much as we love innovation and as much as we never want to suppress ideas, that does not in and of itself drive value. And the other reason for companies still being stuck, even as we speak, is that they take that long list of use cases and they start scattering pilot after pilot after pilot. And because they're so scattered, because there's no focus, because it's not grounded in what's most important to the company, in its top priorities and its business plan and existing strategy, or even renewed strategy, that's where the pilots just never get to take off. They remain in what we call pilot purgatory. So for those of you who are listening today, I strongly urge you, forget the ideation, forget the pilots. When AI deployments are directly aligned in direct service of your business strategy, of your top priorities, of your greatest opportunities, you won't need a pilot. You will still need to start in a managed and focused way so that you can deliver, but then you scale. When something is important, you don't go halfway, you just go.
Right. And one of the things, again, we see so many pilots out there, and there was a recent study from mid last year that 95% of pilots fail. This came from MIT, and it's because they're a pilot. They're designed to not necessarily go anywhere. So, and the 5% are the ones who actually have plans from the very beginning of how it attaches to business strategy and then to creating value. I want to show, again, our dear friend Andrew, Katia, has this to say, I'm a head of people at vendor and my goals, and he lays very specific goals about what they want to do with AI, which I love. So enable the entire organization to safely and effectively use AI, transform HR into AI augmented strategic partner, some very specific things they want to work on, and support our people and business priorities as AI modifies the skills. So really thinking about the future workforce. And I love this, Andrew. Thank you for sharing that. And because it's a very clear uh, explanation of not just using AI, but it's also just saying these are the things we want to see. And then I know there's a lot more behind this, but these are the things that we want to see. Katya, any thoughts or comments?
I have so many thoughts, including welcome, Andrew. Great to see you all grown up. Hopefully, we never grow up too much. Just for context, with the audience, we all worked together at Forrester Research when we were practically children, so we have grown up together. But what I love about bringing up Andrew's example too is that it brings the people aspect of all this. And while I'm not following the order of the 90 days in the book, we do have a substantial section on people. At the end of the day, artificial intelligence cannot deliver value without people and without the people to benefit from that value and to sustain it and grow it. And in that people section, we also make an argument that the role of the chief people officer or the head of people is changing. We are already seeing leaders like the Moderna leader who has a combined role of technology and people, because we're starting to live in the world where we have roles about how we get the work done. We have human workers and we have AI workers or agents. And so the most forward organizations will actually be combining that role. So forget about technology officers and even digital officers. Very soon we are going to see officers of everything that helps us get work done. And that's people, that's technology, that maybe even something else. I don't know yet right now, but who knows what else is coming.
Yeah, and I think this rethinking of the way that work is, when we talk about the future of work, the combination of people and technology into this blended workforce is more than just augmenting people. It's really looking at this very holistically and saying, how do we think about this? And so HR departments and C-suites and boards that are thinking strategically and asking HR to show up in this way is really interesting. And I speak at a lot of HR conferences and work with a lot of CHROs. And that transformation is very clear, is very visible, but it's so hard because the traditional way of thinking about HR is about mitigating risks, about handling a lot of transactions. It's not living in this strategic space. So it's a really interesting transformation that's happening. So I just want to give a little bit of a quick over. By the way, I have to show the picture of the book. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. There's the book. We're excited to see it and hold it. We have a virtual rendering of what that book looks like, and you can learn more about it at winningwithaibook.com. I do want to talk just very quickly because Katia mentioned that the book has this whole entire section about people. And the first section I talk about getting started. The middle section is about building your AI roadmap, figuring out what goes into the roadmap to create value over 18 months and the ways you can create value. So lots of ways to connect AI back to your strategy. And I love the building blocks, which is where Katja was talking about, where we talk about the skill sets, the people, the mindset, the culture, the tool sets and the technology, and very importantly, the decision sets, the governance to be able to enable fast decision making. And I want to key a little bit about this whole point around speed. Because if the first part, the first key theme in the book is you really need to connect AI to your business strategy to create value. The second part is you have to do this at speed. You, Katya, have a great friend, Vikram, who had a great quote. If you want to just talk about how that came about, because we just keep saying it again and again to ourselves, like this is key. This is really important to remember.
Well, I've been thinking a lot about what would differentiate companies. And there is a reason we called the book Winning with AI. Is it the most original title in the world? Probably not. But do we really mean it? Absolutely, yes. Because there are and there will be winners and others who fall behind. We have seen it in our careers. I mentioned that we grew up in technology, Charlene and Andrea and I, and we do remember the mainstreaming of the internet at this point. And there were companies that did not survive and companies that did not exist at all, and now some of the largest companies in the world. So there will absolutely be winners here, and those that win will be the ones that really move with speed. They don't spend too much time in ideation workshops. They connect their AI roadmap. We could talk about how to devise that directly with their top priorities, and they just go, knowing that it won't be perfect, knowing that there will be issues to solve, knowing that they won't have all the talent and the tools, and just going. However, there is a reason that, Charlene, you and I put ethics and responsible AI at the very beginning, because you cannot go fast if you don't have the right brakes, as you say, in place, and the guardrails to really make sure that we can move safely at speed. So what Vikram Mahidhar, a friend now, he's a great investor and a great human being above all, and a great technologist, and really an expert in driving value with AI. What he has been saying time and time again is speed is the new moat. And so that is imprinted in my brain, and we wanted to make sure we included it in the book. It's at the very beginning. And that is, if there's one takeaway, it is that. And we have Vikram to thank for that. Speed is the new mode. We have to move fast. We will make mistakes, but we also have to make sure that before we start moving, we put those brakes, we get the guardrails in place. And that's why we need those 90 days, to make sure that we prepare ourselves, we set up ourselves to move at speed.
Yes. And I just have this comment from Bob Hover, who says, "You go as fast as you can responsibly innovate," is what he would argue. And again, Bob, we're on the same wavelength with you on this. And one of the things I personally love doing is governance, which sounds very strange, because governance is usually associated with bureaucracy. But if you do it right, it gives you those guardrails so everyone knows what they can do, what they can't do, what they should do, what they shouldn't do, and they can just focus on creating that value. When things are clear about what your roadmap is, what the guardrails are, what tools are available, what skills we have, again, these are the components that we are putting into the book to lay those foundations in those 90 days so that you can go as fast as you can. We just have a few minutes left, so if people have any last questions or comments, please add them here. I want to just talk one little bit. Let me just see if there are any other questions. Oh, one question I get oftentimes, Katia, and I'm wondering, because you work with a lot of leadership teams, how do you get buy-in from your leadership team? Because some of them want to go forward and are excited, and some of them are absolutely terrified and just want to do nothing because they don't understand it, they don't get it, they just see risk everywhere, and they just want to put a hold on it. What advice would you give to people who are on this stream because they believe in it? How can they get their leadership team on board?
So this is where making sure that whatever we do with emerging technology, including but not limited to AI, is directly in service of the top priorities, because it's not something to the side, it's not something isolated, it's not something that would scare people in and of itself. It really is a way to accelerate what matters the most. So at this point, when we are trying to get buy-in, we're not selling, let's do something with AI. We are talking about how can we achieve our goals. And by the way, this can be a great way to go about it and to help us go faster. So when we connect to strategy and top priorities and we move with speed, that enables us to show value, because we are now doing pilots. Remember, that's one of the controversies in this book. There are a bunch of other controversies. We actually have 15 items, 15 things that we believe no other book will tell you about. I encourage you to read those, and this gives you a little bit of a preview. But when you connect to top priorities and when you move with speed, then you show value. And when you show value, you gain momentum. And when you gain momentum, you get the naysayers to come to you and say, how about me? I want in. And then you create a movement. But that's why the positioning matters a great deal and the speed matters a great deal.
Yeah, and it took us a little while to figure out how do we cut this Gordian knot of where to begin. And we decided that the place to begin is something that every organization knows really well, and that is its strategy. They may not know very much about AI, they may not have the right people, but they know its strategy at the core of everything that they do. And if they don't know what that strategy is, then that's a bigger problem that we can't help with. But most organizations and leaders know what the strategy is. And so starting from that, a foundation of something that doesn't change, starting with your values. These are the foundations that you can keep coming back to so that when everything else is changing around you, you have those starting points to make sure you're being focused on the right things. All right, Katia, I
That
hate to
helps
tell
with
you this.
buy-in, that helps with getting started quickly, that helps with
Yes.
familiarity. It's much harder to go and adopt something that is to the side and novel and potentially intimidating. But when it is your business and when it is your business priorities and your goals that you absolutely have to deliver on, and this is one way, a very powerful way to help you with that, who would say no?
Right. I was talking to a CEO last week, and he was going on about how people need to get on board and he needs to educate everyone. He wanted to do some AI fluency training, excuse me, in his company. And I just stepped back and said, you're kind of all over the place on this. If you could if there was one problem you could figure out that AI could solve, that, or just not even AI, but just one major problem that you have in your organization right now, what would it be? And he just immediately gave it to me. He says, the difference between our sales forecast and our actual demand capacity. We have just very little ability to connect the two. And I said, let's explore to see how AI can help you close that gap. And he just felt like that seemed insurmountable, that it was so far that he didn't have the capability in the organization to be able to pull that off. And I said to him, where there's a will, there's a way, that feasibility should not hold you back from imagining that that problem could actually be solved. So I want to close off today by talking about the importance of imagination, because it's something that we end the book on, which is that we can't, in sort of the way that we never anticipated how the world would change when these new technologies came along. Everything from electricity to the internet to email, we couldn't even imagine what that looks like. And so imagination is the thing that's in short supply in this time, that we could imagine what the world could be like, the problems we could solve, the opportunities we could go and pursue. And so it requires that leaders have not just the courage to step in to the space, but also imagination. Katia, anything else to add?
Well, I couldn't have
Yeah.
imagined a better co-author and mentor and friend in all this. So thank you so much. And I imagine even more endeavors like that. This is about how we get started. Who knows what else we will have when we show what is being delivered and how lives are changing in addition to businesses.
Yes. Thank you so much. And really, Katia, it's been such a great journey. And the day is here. The book is live. It's available. So if people would like to learn more about the book, you can find more about it at winningwithaibook.com. I'm going to put the cover back on here again because I just like looking at it. I want to show people it.
I just saw a note that some businesses don't know what their strategy is. That is, I'm sure, valid. And luckily, we have Charlene Li, who can help businesses understand and thrive on their business strategy. So that's a bonus.
Yes. So let me know if you need any help with that. And happy to always just provide more insights. Please reach out to us. Follow me and Katia. We're on LinkedIn. We're pretty easy to find. You can, again, find us also on winningwithaibook.com and learn more information in there. Again, thank you everyone so much for joining us. Thank you for supporting us throughout this great adventure called writing a book and this adventure called life. And all the best to you in your journey with AI and finding ways to create value with it. Katia, any last words you want to add?
Thank you, everyone, and keep us posted on how you're doing. Anything that you implement, anything that you see working, anything you see not working, by all means, let us know. We are all learning. We will be updating the book. There's no such thing as a up-to-date book on AI, not even this one, even if it's just launching today. So that's one commitment that we're making to you, to keep updating. And we would appreciate and value and frankly need your help to keep those updates going. So thank you.
Yes, yes, we are not done. The book is maybe done, but we are not done with the book. So please keep us updated on what's working, what's not, and we will all talk to you soon again very much. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Katia.
Thank you, Charlene.
Okay, bye-bye.